Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the end of 2020. Nothing works anymore. I thought I had fixed that. Is it gonna go out again? I don't know. I might turn it off. If in the middle of a conversation about COVID or the NDAA, I get up and turn off the TV, that's why. But anyway, okay. Oh God. End of year 2020. Can't wait to see it gone. But we're gonna end things right with the end of year Yeah, that's too often. Nope, not gonna have that.
Hey, what up? Welcome to the Damage Report.
Brett's here. How's it going, Brett?
John, is it too late for you to go to Kinko's, print out like a poster board with that on it, and then paste it over top of your television monitor, John?
Here's what I can do. Here's what I should have done. I should have gone into Trashy, pulled out all the pictures of the garbage people from throughout the year, and then taped them up to there. That's how you make a backdrop, baby. But anyway, so we've got a black screen, so that's cool. Why not? It's 2020. Everything is being consumed by an ever-increasing black void, which I call the nothing. But anyway, Brett, thank you for being here on a Thursday of all times. And because you're here, we are gonna have Garbage People of the Week. Very excited about that. We're gonna have you go first on that. But yeah, and then there's other news or something. I don't know. What's going on with you, Brett?
I'm looking at my camera and my camera could not be more tilted to the side. I'd like to say that I personally just like have a really cool lean on, but no, it's just because the camera is already drunk for the New Year's festivities.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So you're doing a stream later on tonight, right? Wait, is today happy half hour because we're not doing Fridays? What's going on with Common Room and all that?
Half hour, just everyone. Let's update everybody. I don't know if the official announcements have been made. Happy half hour is going to turn into a Twitch stream, and it looks dope. And then it'll still be available for members and everything later, but we're going to do it on Wednesdays, and we're going to live stream it so people can be like, "Oh, Brett, you're so lovely. You look so lovely," and that's what's happening. So that's starting next week. John, don't tear me down so you can soar higher. The other thing that's happening is tonight, wife and I we haven't really planned it, but we're just gonna stream on the twitch.tv/TYT. And I'm pretty sure there will be a power hour. I'm pretty sure that we will we have to be on so that we can document who has won the TYT Gifts Back sweepstakes. I'm not sure I can officially call it a sweepstakes, but the highest subscription gifters from December, the top 3 get a mystery box with all kinds of goodies from TYT. And then if you're in the top 10, we're gonna do a draw after the ball drops of the rest of the top 10, and whoever's name we pick out from that hat, I think it's the Santa hat behind me, just out of frame, we're gonna give them a bonus mystery box. So you don't have to be in the top 10. You don't have to be in the top 3, but if you're in the top 10,
you have a chance. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think they should be the ambassadors of the year because that's what they're doing. But anyway,
John, and so much let people planning went into this, and you just cruise in at the last minute.
Okay,
you're like,
so I'm trying to compliment you, but I'm only gonna wait for a second or two, and then can I go? Because I'm not that committed to giving you a compliment.
I didn't realize.
Anyway, for people on Twitch, do you want to know how devoted Brett and Brooke are to you? So for New Year's Eve, Francesca and I are putting together a little group where we're gonna ring in the new year playing like Jackbox games and stuff like that. And like I wanted them to do it, but they're not going to because they're streaming for you. So like we were gonna hang, but they're not gonna hang with Francesca and me because they're streaming. So that's their commitment to you.
Sorry,
they won't be my bud. Anyway. Sorry. Oh yeah, wait, sorry, I forgot we were doing a political news show. We should probably get to that at some point. Anyway, everybody who's already watching, thank you for doing that. Please hit the like button and share the stream if you haven't already. And as we go along through the news, you can send us chats and super chats and tweets and all of that. And we'll be responding to you. I also wanted to let everyone know, we've been getting a lot of new YouTube members, including Deborah Shelton. Thank you for that. Johnny Silverback Dragon Bishop at tier 2, so enjoy the top 10 lists. Let's see, we've got John Johnson, more committed to being a John than I've been throughout my life, but thank you. Kathy Harvey, Kennetastic, as well as others. I apologize if I don't read your name. Lord Jose at tier 2, thank you for that. I wanted to let you know, one of the I guess the perks that goes to all of our members of all tiers is you have access to emojis, and we have now added dragons. So if you check your emojis, I can see that some people, including Wilson B. Schrodinger's dragon, has already used it. So they're there, and more will be coming on a daily basis. So enjoy that. But with that said, why don't we jump into the news, Brett?
Schrodinger's dragon, the only dragon that is both dead and alive at the same damn time.
Yes.
And poison.
Anyway.
And near radioactive poison. You psychotic person. Putting it in a box with a cat and radioactive poison. You gotta fear that person, whoever's got Schrodinger's dragon. Schrodinger, not a good pet owner.
The past few years we've done superlatives at the end of each year on TDR. Schrodinger's dragon, worst pet owner of TDR 2020. That's the only one. That's the only superlative. That viewer is bad to their pet. Anyway,
I don't know
okay. Feel free at any point during this broadcast, if you want to give a superlative, it's up to you. Feel free to do that for everybody watching as well. Okay, now with that, let's talk about the news. Hey, it came up. Okay, we are just less than a week out from these Georgia runoffs, and Fox News probably getting a little bit nervous because the polling hasn't necessarily been looking great for their preferred Republican candidates. So there was an attempt at a sort of ambush of one of the candidates, Jon Ossoff, but he turned it around, and I think in a pretty effective fashion. Here is the first section where the Fox News reporter approaches him out of the street.
Hey. Mr. Ossoff, we are really quickly, we are live on Fox right now. Thank you for the question. You talk in your stump speech that we just listened to about health and jobs and justice for all. Why not talk more about your experience, your relevant experience in being the best person to deliver on those things?
Well, look, I've made my career fighting injustice, exposing war crimes and corruption. I run a business that's exposed terrorism, that's exposed sexual slavery by ISIS, that's exposed judicial corruption. And right now we have a crisis of corruption in American politics. And since we're live on Fox, let me take this opportunity to address directly the Fox audience. We have 2 United States senators in Georgia who have blatantly used their offices to enrich themselves. This is beyond partisanship.
Not bad, I think. Look, they came in with a question about his experience, which I think is a perfectly legitimate thing to ask any candidate. And his experience is different. Working on investigative films is different than most other politicians. But I think he tied it in very well to how it would intersect with his job responsibilities as a senator, and then to turn it around on what I think should be the core issue in these Georgia primaries is how did these senators who are trying to get reelected use the last year, the roughest year in recent American history? How did they use their time? And it's pretty clear what Perdue and Loeffler's priorities were. So I think that Jon Ossoff did a pretty good job of pivoting onto that.
Yes, Jon Ossoff is good at that. It's interesting. Like Jon Ossoff seems like he has that capability to really resonate with the Fox viewer, who one of their catchphrases I think is like, well, he's a nice boy. And he has that in him. He definitely has taken the opportunity to form in a very measured pace, to put it nicely, to take advantage of having any platform he's on in order to deliver that line that I think he's memorized, but definitely gets through to people based on the proper framing, in my opinion. And the way to frame these current senators is to point out the fact that they have profited off of this whole thing and done absolutely nothing. And now other arrows in his quiver, the House of Representatives, people on the left and the right and the president are pushing for things in earnest in front of the cameras to help the American people. And people like Loeffler and Perdue, the same way that they took COVID as an opportunity to keep secrets from you in terms of how bad it would be, but behind the scenes go and profit on it. That's unacceptable. That's what they're doing. And in this moment, they're trying to say, oh yeah, we're for the $2,000, but what have they done in the past? In the past, they have done nothing but put money in their pockets and sit there and be the swamp that if you're on Fox, you tell them people that that they like Matt Gaetz, people that they don't necessarily identify with on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. All those people disagree with Loeffler and Perdue.
Yeah,
and they're on the other side of the fence from the president.
Yeah, well, we are gonna have a little bit more of the video, and I know some people in the chat I could see were saying that there's some other stuff that they like better. We've got that for you in just a sec. I did want to point out that we believe in giving credit where credit is due, but we also don't get completely out of control about it. Like they're good responses to questions. It doesn't mean that he's going to be the absolute best if he gets into the Senate. He's going to probably end up squarely in the middle of the Republican caucus in terms of his political positions, at least in terms of how they've been presented during his campaigns. And there's been some change over time. So, good responses. Actually being a strong progressive on the issues would be even better. So let's see if we can get that. In any event, obviously going to be a lot better than David Perdue. That said, let's move to this next question where what's interesting is that he's running against Perdue, but he's got some pretty good lines against Loeffler when Warnock's recent issues are raised, as you'll see in this clip.
One more quick one while we've got you. Any concern that the allegations of wrongdoing against Reverend Warnock could possibly be a drag on the Democratic ticket next week?
None whatsoever. Reverend Warnock addressed this issue a year ago, and here's the bottom line. Kelly Loeffler has been campaigning with a Klansman. Kelly Loeffler has been campaigning with a Klansman. And so she is stooping to these vicious personal attacks to distract from the fact that she's been campaigning with a former member of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, we deserve better than that here in Georgia. And I want to encourage everybody to make a plan to vote on Tuesday.
Okay, so he likes the line, he repeated it 3 times. And it's interesting that Fox is just like, oh, well, this is what's happening now. I guess I open us up to this. But anyway, yeah, good line. Important thing for people to know. Look, Brett, I personally think that saying she campaigned with a Klansman, I think is overselling it a little bit. She has a concerning number of times appeared with Klansmen in photos and doesn't seem to think that it's a serious issue that former members of the Klan are like really hot for her campaign. I think it's overstating it just a little bit, but it has come up time and time again. And when you combine it with how she's talked about things like Black Lives Matter and everything, if you want to make race an issue for her, she certainly has made that easy for you.
Yeah, it's weird. This is so bad and so disconcerting that I think that the previous attack that we showed is better than this one. For 2 reasons. One, in Georgia, like the further south you go and Georgia and Panhandle, Florida are the furthest south you can go, and parts of Alabama. Some people are like, oh, the chronology of watching this segment was, oh, she profited off all of this. She made money and she's not giving me money. That's bad. Ugh, but another lefty calling someone racist. Or, that's the out that the right has crafted for themselves. Is they're just calling everyone racist out, and it works. It's wrong, but sometimes it works. So I would say things like, listen, I would have gone back to the previous response, which is to say, listen, Reverend Warnock answered these allegations a year ago, and for the last whole year, Kelly Loeffler has been using her position to give handouts to her friends and profit as you die.
Yeah,
that's what I would have done because that's. But the other thing it's worth pointing out is that that's Ducey's son, I think, and he sucks at this. He thinks he and Jesse Waters are in that same camp of, I think because I have a microphone and I'm asking people questions on the street that I'm really getting them. But you're not. He doesn't have the skill. He doesn't have that presence or ability to think on his feet to really get someone. And Ossoff is just way better at this.
Yeah, I agree. Look. Pointing out that she's campaigning with a former leader of the KKK is a little bit different than just a blanket assertion of racism. It's more specific, but also neither going to be all that successful on a Fox News audience. Like I doubt a lot of them are like, oh, a former member of the KKK. Well, then clearly I can't support her. Like I doubt that that's really bothering that much. By the way, it's Chester Doles is the former KKK leader. She's been pictured with other white supremacists and far right extremists. In her defense, it's a portion of the caucus and the media and all of that on the right. So I guess she's got to appear with some of them. But anyway, yeah, I think that focusing on the corruption is better. I would go even stronger because like just saying she personally enriched herself should be enough. Like we should be opposed to corruption, but I think a lot of Republican voters have been convinced that rich people cheating the system is okay because don't worry, like someday you're gonna be rich and then you'll get to cheat the system too. I would really contrast it. I would say she got into the Senate not even having to actually win. She started going to private meetings and then buying stocks to benefit herself. She would then go out and lie to you about the information she got. And you'll notice that when she started investing in body bags, she didn't come out and say that all of her constituents should too, that they should profit as this pandemic rolls on. She kept all that information for herself while you lost your savings and potentially your business and your job and all of that. Like I would really lay it out. I mean, maybe even that wouldn't be effective, but I think it would be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, one other important aspect of how this vote ends up going in Georgia is going to be, there's a few little wild cards. One I want to talk about is what we've been talking about for a couple months now, which is the possibility that this narrative out there on the right, that there's no point participating because the whole thing is rigged, or a stronger version of it, which Lynn Wood has been presenting, which is we're going to prove that it's rigged by everyone boycotting. So there's like it's probably not worth voting on. There's please don't vote. How significant is that gonna be? And we haven't had much polling really in any aspect of Georgia, but we do have a little bit now. So apparently, according to Survey USA, of those who are not voting in the US Senate runoffs, a disproportionate number are conservative. Of those who identify as very conservative, 55% say they're not voting in the runoff elections because the voting process is rigged. This compares to 0% of liberals and very liberals. Another 7% of very conservative voters say they are intentionally boycotting the runoffs. This compares to 0% of liberals and very liberals. It's just one poll. We'll see how are people defining those things. How significant is this? I don't know, but it is at least some evidence that narrative, those combined narratives that are sort of feeding off of each other might be having an influence on some people. And in a race that is likely to be very close, anything like this in theory could be enough to tip the balance.
Don't stop, come back. That's all I have to say to all the Republicans. Like, great. I mean, this is one of those things that I don't believe is happening. And there's two ways to interpret that statement. One, it's just a saying, like, I don't believe it, that's ridiculous. And the other one is I really don't believe that these voters are gonna stay home. Because as much as the world has become completely unhinged and jumped the shark in 2020, for me, already watching Joe Biden beat Donald Trump in Georgia has been one of those, I don't believe we're in the same timeline anymore moments. Like if I went to Atlanta, there would be like robots in the streets with laser hands. Like that's how weird it sounds to me. And all of this, once I believed that given how people voted for Republican incumbents and Joe Biden to maintain essentially a very close Republican lead in the Senate and losing seats for the Democrats in the House of Representatives, I still thought that in this runoff, the Republican incumbents would just sweep it by a lot. Mm-hmm. And if these numbers are true,
they still might. But
if these numbers are true, and I still don't know if they're asking like likely voters, but the big question mark block in all the polls from before, as far as I'm concerned, were intense MAGA supporters. And I just don't know if those intense MAGA those seem to be the same people who are the potentially disaffected group. And so if they don't show up, we go back to the polls being largely more accurate than they were before, than they were in the last one, you know?
Look, I I am inclined to think again, like it's one thing to be like, oh, am I gonna vote? No, the whole thing's rigged, screw it. But then like on election day, I don't want those communist Chinese Dems in control of the Senate. So I still feel like most of them are gonna go. We'll see. Let me give you a little bit more results from the poll. Again, this is Survey USA. The full information is out there if you want it. 3 weeks ago, Warnock led Loeffler by 3 points among independents in Georgia. Today, he leads by 18. 3 weeks ago, he led by 29 points among moderates in Georgia. Today, he leads by 51 points. And there were a few other like things having to do with Kelly Loeffler, which seems to imply that she might, of all, like they've all been attacking each other. There's 4 candidates there. I feel like she has gotten the majority of the effect on her. Like I don't think it's really hurting Perdue as much. The stuff with like Warnock, like they were referencing in that video, it was that 18 years ago, a church he was involved in ran a summer camp. And there was this really unfortunate and disgusting thing that happened where one of the kids who's now 30 wet the bed. And so a camp counselor like poured urine on him, like something disgusting like that. And Loeffler comes out and she's like, this is very distressing. It raises very worrying concerns about Warnock. But no, it doesn't. He doesn't have anything to do with it. It has literally nothing. Like they had to go back 18 years to find something that was affiliated with a camp that was affiliated with a church that he was involved in. And she's very concerned about the questions it's raising. That's not strong. That's not strong at all. So anyway, but I want to read one more.
It does. Yeah, it's not strong. It doesn't need to be strong. Fox News had the computer repairman who turned in Hunter Biden's laptop on their show. And the guy, not even reportedly, I'm just describing him, looks like the Scottish guy he's dressed like Scotty from Spaceballs, like the full on tam. It's all like with the little thing, it's like a Scottish beret with a bob on the top. He's wearing a turtleneck up to here and a giant like it's a olive green hat, olive green. Like he looks insane. And they are like, here to completely convey reality is a guy who seems completely detached from it. Go ahead, sir. It doesn't need to be the most grounded, awesome attack. But yeah, it's not that strong. And they're gonna, I mean, something going for Warnock is like, the word church is in there.
Yeah,
it's a church. He's a reverend. He's a man of God.
Yeah, and they have to turn that into a negative while pretending always that would be some sort of positive, and in fact trying to use the fact that Amy Coney Barrett isn't even like a religious leader. She just is of a religion that's supposed to entirely shield her from criticism. With him, they've had to try to turn his church service into the entire narrative of the election.
Yeah.
But anyway, one final note on the polling, and I don't know how much more polling we're likely to get for Georgia. There's less than a week to go. This is a note from Survey USA. Georgia is a hot mess, and no opinion pollster could possibly say what will happen when votes are counted in 2 weeks, which is an interesting statement from a pollster operating in Georgia. But apparently it is difficult. Now, I will say that the general election polls in Georgia were pretty accurate leading up to the general election. I know that our takeaway from the election is that all the polls are absolute garbage. Sure, in some cases they might have been. It was pretty accurate in Georgia, actually. And also, as of right now at least, and I believe today is the last day of early voting, but if you live in Georgia, do not listen to me. Find out if you can still vote. The turnout already has been 2.56 million early voters, which breaks the previous record of about almost 500,000 less back in 2008. So it is going to be lower turnout than the general election, but it's higher than any other runoff election that we've had so far, which doesn't seem like it'd be a bad thing for the Democrats.
Seems like it still benefits the Republicans. A spike in turnout.
It might.
Because usually the Republicans win the hell out of Georgia. And the reason that they lost Georgia in the general election is because way more people came out because they wanted Trump out of office. It is a quantum leap, is a huge leap in political knowledge and engagement to vote in a Senate runoff. And those folks are typically more toward, folks are typically more toward ideological polls. And yes, there's more Democrats who are engaged than Republicans who are saying that they're going to vote because of the stats we said earlier. So we'll see how it bears out. I agree, it's a hot mess. I still think that the Republicans are going to win, but I am hoping to be proven wrong.
I hope, as always, you are proven wrong. Now that said, let's read a few comments. I'm just kidding, buddy. Let's read a few comments before we move on to the news. The first super chat today was from Brianna, who says, I work at a hospital in Central Texas, and I'm getting vaccinated for COVID on Monday. I can't help but feel guilty and would give my grandparents my spot if I could in a heartbeat. I'm sure that you would, but like if you work at a hospital, it's not a bad thing. And by the way, please do. I am reading stories from California, from Texas about the percentage of frontline nurses and doctors who are choosing not to get vaccinated. And it's like 10 to 40%, and I find it to be terrifying. So please get it if you can. Chub Toad says, there wasn't a person on the garbage person poll this week. I appreciate your super chat. I'm not gonna read the rest because it is a spoiler, but we'll get to that by the end of the show. D Persley says, safe and happy new year to Daddy Dragon Squad and all in chat today, and to you, D, as well. Jan Elephant says, happy new year, Dragon Squad. Today's my birthday, and even though I've always hated having a New Year's Eve birthday, it always turns into a hybrid party. That's true. It sucks to sit out entirely, so in lieu of a night out, I'd really love a shout out. Jan Elephant, happy birthday. Screw New Year's Eve. Today's all about you.
Same, Jan Elephant. I agree with John.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, so I saw some people in the chat that are talking about the procedural back and forth that's been going on in the Senate, and the concerns about the NDAA and the future of the checks. So that was originally going to be our leadoff story. I have been following it, and I think it might be more complicated than it seems at first. So we're holding off on that because I don't want to speak definitively about something that's incredibly complex and might not be 100% accurate what's floating around out there. So I will say that I am still angry about the overall process, but I want to make sure that before we talk about it, we know exactly what happened and what different votes meant. So I'm sure the main show will be covering it later on today. So unless there's big breaking news, I don't want to speak definitively about something that I think there's a very high chance is not accurate. Zach Zarati says, a little late, but I just watched the Dragon episode of Rick and Morty. Care to comment? I haven't seen it actually. I've watched a little bit of Rick and Morty, but not the Dragon one. Let's see. JNL says, hi guys. Hey Brett, I saw you on the year 2020. Very cool for you. How was it? Happy New Year's, guys. 2021 has got to be better. Heart you guys.
Guys, that special that I was on with my dear close friends, and we all had a virtual Zoom after. We're besties. When it's lifted, we're all gonna have a party after the quarantines are all lifted. It was awesome. It was the top rated show on all the networks on Tuesday. I haven't watched it yet because I'm terrified to watch myself, but apparently they animated one of my bits. It was very fun. Thank you everyone for watching. I have to be in a very specific mood to watch myself, but I DVR'd it and it was fantastic. So thanks to everyone for watching. That's my 10th. I've done every one of those. It's my 10th ABC's the year.
And I think it showed up on my Hulu. Actually, I think it's on like the front page of Hulu.
Yeah, it is on Hulu.
Did you really do a Zoom call after?
No, not at all. We shot in person. It was like I got to experience like what they're doing at all the studios when they go and like take your temperature and keep you distance. It was amazing. I mean, it was a really good that crew that does it. They're the best, and I've done a lot of specials with them. I've probably done 20 specials with them over the years, and they're fantastic.
Awesome.
So they really did a good job.
Connor Crowley, welcome to Tier 2 YouTube membership. Thank you for joining on. Lazy Peon says, this year in the Stone Eagle Dragon says this year in 3 song titles: Planet Hell, Endlessness, Nevermore. Brett and John in 1. Brett, Institutional Man. John, Sunset Superman. Oh, I don't know what that is, but I like it. Happy New Year to all the Dragon Legion. There's the new dragon emoji there. I like it. Thank you for your super chat. Brianna Circus says, happy, healthy, and safe New Year to all my heroes at 2IT. Even you, Brett. Lol, keep on doing the damn thing. From everyone in the Hudson Valley Dragon Squad, love, Free Spirit Dragon Mama. Thank you, Brianna. And finally, Raylon Smith says, super chat, love for end of year. Thanks for anchoring 2020. Looking forward to 2021. Say hi to Jacqueline for me. No. Hi, Jacqueline, how's it going? Anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi gifted some tier 1 subs.
John's lost it. That's not a very John type bit to be like, no, I'm gonna be a jerk for a second. And that means John is a mess.
I've lost it.
He's a mess. If he's making jokes where he's not, like he for a second pretends he doesn't want to say, hi, how are you? What a great day. That means inside John is like a post-apocalyptic waste.
It's a rough year. It's just, we've been having like some technical issues here. And I recently, like we talked about in yesterday's post game, my wife and I are interested, in starting a family. And so we have this stupid idea that we'd look into buying a house. And so we loaded up our apps and then thought, oh no, that's never gonna happen. So I'm a little bit stressed about a lot of things lately. So anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi, thank you for gifting tier 1 subs. Trimu Butiki, thank you for causing, I'm gonna assume Bart, to put the photo of me holding the Tony into the chat thing again. So that's great. Depressed Progressive gifted 10 tier 1 subs. Thank you for that. Big Bull Dragon gifted 5. Darkhawk gifted 25. What is going on in Twitch today? Frank Morning Tree gifted 10.
It's the giveaway.
It is. Tinkerbell Pixie gifted 1. Thank you for that. Brandy Lou gifted 5. Thank you, everybody.
Brandy Lou in top 10 with that.
Ooh, interesting. Tempo Dan says Brett has been dosed with the slap happies. Brett's always dosed with the slap happies.
I feel weird, guys. I feel super weird today. I don't know why.
Okay, Cass Blue resubscribed. Thank you for that. Let's see. I was curious about. There's a goal I'd like to hit. I'm not at the point where I'm ready to like Jank start talking about specifics in terms of these goals. But in my mind, for YouTube membership, I have a goal and we're 17 away from it. So if you've considered joining, understand you'll make me happy, and they're dragon emojis now. So
and if you're watching on YouTube and you have Amazon Prime, you can both join on the YouTube thing and then set up your Amazon Prime, and that's free, and you'll get all the emojis.
Free.
You get all that stuff, and it costs you no more money. Just put your Prime membership on Twitch, so you can do both.
I can do both. Yeah, you one who can do both. Anyway, with that, let's jump back into the news because we've got a lot of stories to get through, and damn, is today going fast. Okay, let's do this right now. Okay, we all know at this point that the vaccine rollout has been rough in a couple of different ways. Here's a development we weren't hoping for. 500 doses of the vaccine had to be thrown away in a Wisconsin clinic. Apparently they had been unrefrigerated for too long. Now that's bad news, but it gets worse. A few days ago, per multiple reports, Advocate Aurora Health revealed that those 500 doses were discarded because they were not being refrigerated in what was described as unintended human error, which would be bad enough. I mean, that could potentially save, lives. Advocate Aurora Health said in a news statement, "We immediately launched an internal review and were led to believe this was caused by inadvertent human error. The individual in question today acknowledged that they intentionally removed the vaccine from refrigeration."
That's not what you want to hear.
So like this life-saving vaccine that would have inoculated 500 people. Yes, they would have had to get in shots later to finish it off. But 500 people in theory, potentially more, because there's this thing going around where in theory you can get 1 or 2 more doses out of each vial. It's apparently a thing that's happening. But anyway, at the very least, hundreds of people.
That is so American healthcare, like PTSD.
It's a thing though.
It is just a thing that everybody does. You're just like, listen, your default setting is healthcare is so expensive for me. So when I get, for example, antibiotics, I'm not gonna take them all. But like it's designed, you have to take them all. Everyone's rationing. Like as much as they say socialism creates breadlines, capitalism and our private health insurance creates med lines where you're just, you have no idea when the next time is that you'll have access to this. So you start rationing. It is so sad and so sadly rational.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, yeah, but like I said, there are areas where people have access to it and are turning it down. I have to be very vague about this. I have been made aware of an area that the uptake for the groups that have been prioritized was so low that it was just opened up to everyone. Not anywhere near here. I don't have access to it or anything, but there is a concern that a lot of people are not taking it when they can, and that's a bad thing. So we have a lot of work to do going forward to save lives by reassuring people based on the science that this is good. We're gonna follow all the developments and everything. But anyway, to return to this, 500 doses, someone intentionally left out. That is effectively all the information that I have in terms, there's no motivation that's been given. There's no statement that's been given by that individual about why they did this. And I understand that many people's reaction might be, well, what's the difference at the end of the day? Those vials are now wasted. And that's true. But I have to wonder, is this a conspiracy theory thing? Is this a thing where that person thought, oh, that's Bill Gates's brain juice that they're trying to inject into people so that he can track them through, the ethereal plane? I don't know. Did aliens make the vaccine? It is possible that there are people in a position to do damage, to sabotage the I guess supply chain if they believe insane things about this. And a lot of people believe very insane things about this. So that has not been confirmed. Although I don't know what better reason there is to potentially expose 500 additional people to a fatal illness.
They intentionally removed the vaccine from the refrigerator. Did they? Yeah, this is all speculation. This is all scar tissue, scarring and this fear that everyone has. I will say probably built into if you're working on a scale of millions and millions and millions of vaccine doses, something weird's gonna happen to 500 of them, no matter what.
Yes.
And so if this becomes a trend, then I would be more concerned about it. It is terrifying. It is in that category of news where thanks for sending that to me, Mom. I don't know what to do with it now. It's like the equivalent, like someone got eaten by a shark off the coast. You're just like that. You're right. That is terrible. I have a very strong reaction to it, but I don't have enough information to find out to see if this is like a big trend of people getting eaten by sharks. I don't know what to do with it. I just need you guys to know that my mom always tells me when people are getting eaten by sharks off the Pacific coast.
I saw a video on the beach, literally where you live, of a person on a surfboard and a great white went under it. And I thought, why would I ever get in the water again? And by the way, when I once went to Hawaii, it's literally the only nice vacation I've taken in my entire life. My wife and I went to Hawaii once. You better believe I knew about everyone who died in the water, everyone who had died hiking on that island, and I let her know about every one of them. And did I go in the water? Only a little, only a little.
This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things, because of sharks. Anyway, and look, someone is saying, Karanig is saying in the chat that there was also sabotage in North Dakota. Again, these might be very small, and maybe there is nothing to do with the news. But what I would say is, if you have access to the vaccine, take it, because you never know. Maybe in the future you won't.
Right.
But anyway,
as Court for Jester is mentioning, it's also a great opportunity to get a microchip in your body. Exactly. And so if you want that Bill Gates brain juice, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I've been wanting chip. Especially after playing, Cyberpunk. I want to be chipped. Morning Demon in the Twitch chat says, you say that like Gen Con isn't a nice vacation. I mean, I guess it's Indianapolis. It's fine. I go to Lee's Summit, Missouri every once in a while too. Anyway, really fast. Hey, here's a fun way to end the year. I'm gonna skip ahead one graphic. Yesterday's report from the COVID tracking project, which I update literally every day, I look at that, had 3,903 COVID deaths. And they say in that tweet that they are still experiencing holiday reporting delays. So that is not the complete figure. Now it does include 2 days backlog, 200 deaths backlog, but it's also not all the states reporting. And we almost hit 4,000 deaths in a single day. So just as we continue to talk about COVID related things, keep that in your mind. And with that, why don't we talk about some more COVID related things? Not long ago, we showed you a video of one of those Republican holiday parties where everybody's just having a good time. In case you forgot that, here it is. Okay, I don't think that's the actual music. I think we added that in for copyright reasons, but it fits. Come on, it fits. Anyway, there was sad news from that. Sad, entirely unsurprising news from that. A New York man has been hospitalized with COVID-19 after attending that party. It was hosted by a local Republican club. This is according to the Queens Daily Eagle. He is recovering at the North Shore University Hospital in Manhasset on Long Island and said that he would be discharged Thursday morning. The chair of the Queens Village Republican Club This is James Trent developed symptoms 2 days after attending the party, which means it's unclear if he caught it at the party or already had it and was potentially exposing other people at the time. Based on it only being 2 days, it seems likely that he might have already had it, but who knows at that point. You can see over 40 people in that video, a dozen of whom are in a conga line, which is like a B plus conga line, I think. Anyway, he said to the Daily
conga line
Eagle,
is an A plus conga line. If you're in a conga line, you're not taking home an 85%.
Okay, it's not bad. They do have hats and flags. Anyway, he said, I wasn't on the conga line. I ate by myself. I don't know how I got this. Now look, as I have always said, it is a disaster when anyone gets COVID, let alone has to be hospitalized for it. I want everyone to get through this. I personally have lost family members to this, so I don't want anyone to lose anything. But I would say, saying I don't know how I got this, when you are going to a party held indoors with dozens of people who aren't wearing masks during the dark winter, I'm not Sherlock or whatever, but I have an idea of how you might have gotten it, either at that event or based on that behavior. I would say it's one of those two things.
Just to say, it's so frustrating. It's like you wonder, you come up for air and you look around and you're like, all right, it's been 9 months. Everyone should at least have an idea that germ theory exists, and that the virus goes from person to person who are close to you. But like, I went off and ate alone in a room. In that room, are you kidding me? Like, also, isn't there like some shame you would have when someone interviews you when they say, so here's the room you were in, you have coronavirus. Do you feel like maybe this either played a part in you getting it or you giving it? You would say, listen, now, and there are people who do this, who say, listen, now I understand this is no joke. However, this person doesn't have any of that humanity in them to say, to acknowledge even a modicum of reality.
Yeah, someone in the chat defines that conga line as a human covidipede. But anyway, yeah, no. And some people, by the way, some Republicans who've gotten it have turned and said, I'm really sorry. Like Chris Christie did his video. There was another Republican state level official. This person said he wasn't doing anything risky, despite the fact that he was inside at a party with dozens of people not wearing masks. It was a wonderful time and a great party, but I'm not happy I got sick. Well, I understand that. I understand that. Oh, by the way, 2 other guests tested positive for the coronavirus after the party too. Now, maybe he got it from one of them, or maybe he gave it to those people. Those are possibilities that would be going through my mind if I had just been inflicted with COVID, but I haven't seen that expressed publicly, that sort of concern. But anyway, again, hope that this person gets through as well as the other guests who needlessly exposed themselves to COVID and potentially infected other people that they know. I hope that all of them do well, don't have to get hospitalized, don't suffer long-term, organ damage, and certainly don't die. That is all that we've been advocating for a solid 9 months now, trying to get people like this to take it seriously so that there is as little human suffering as possible.
I can't. It's just like, you see the movie Outbreak, and there's that movie Outbreak.
I saw it recently.
Yeah, me too. Everyone. It was like, Netflix was like, you down? Let's go full send on just utter paranoia and sadness and death. And a fantasy world where you can make a vaccine in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like
so in that movie, there's a bunch of scenes where people get infected, and you see like the like spittle come out of someone's mouth as they're laughing in a theater. It goes into their mouth, and the utter sadness, tragedy, terror of that scene is that this could be happening right now. In 1997 when you watch it, this could be happening right now, and I wouldn't know it. That I was just out having a normal day, and I got the weird, virus. But here, like, you know how people get it, and you know that it's a thing, and still you're just like, I don't know, beats me, man. That's like taking a gun, putting it in your head, pulling the trigger, and saying, I just don't know how I have a hole in my head right now.
Yeah, it would be like, it's like me saying like I go to the doctor and the doctor's like, hey, you're developing diabetes, and I'd be like, what? No, I don't get to. I put in the work. I have to accept the outcome. Yeah, we're 9 months into this. Everybody knows. And by the way, those scenes in like the theater where the people are like coughing and everything, in 2020, those are very difficult scenes. Or like the blood spinning and oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, watch Outbreak if you haven't already. Okay, now with that, let's read a few comments. Oh, by the way, Jeremy Effinger, welcome to Tier 2 YouTube membership. Enjoy the top 10 list, including the most recent one, the top 10 Trump goofs that I did with Francesca Fiorentini. By the way, with that, we've reached the goal I was hoping for of membership. I have a slightly more long-term goal. I think in the next week that I'd like to hit. It would be very cool to hit it before the end of the year, but it's probably not gonna happen. But if you are thinking about becoming a member, now would be a great time. Maybe we could get it. And then I'll start announcing the goals, by the way. That'll be fun. And when Anna comes on, I'll have her do it too. Nothing she likes more. So with that though, let's read some super chats, including from Jeremy Effinger. It says, the right doesn't get to question anyone on their experience for office. They elected a failed businessman reality TV star to the presidency. Not a bad point. Days Falling Down has a great super chat about the conga line. It looks like Arrested Development. Yeah, it looks like they just got Don't Buy, and so they're doing the conga line. That's what it looks like. Anyway, Arcane G says, sadly, there's a thing going around that the vaccines were manufactured by Bill Gates and you'll get injected with a microchip so he can track you. Yeah, 100%, and lots of people believe that. Lots of them. Dougie Dragon says, so I've already received and spent my 600 survival dollars. How about you? Dragon Daddy and Brett, thank you so much for getting us through 2020. You are amazing. 2021 has to get better, right? Right? We'll see. We're gonna turn to that in a minute, actually. Being nobody, thank you for becoming a member. Leslie Ghost Dragon says, what? No pre-show hot mic absurdities? Wait, what do you mean?
I wish we had it on because John was like, 15 minutes before the show, he's like, there will not be time for a hot mic. I have to go. And then he just like went around, and then you just heard
there
like
so many things.
The back like clanking, hammers, drill, like things crashing in the background, lights going on.
An elephant roar. Anyway, there was a lot going on, and obviously it worked out because I had to turn off the TV. Anyway, I should have kept it on. Should I keep it on? I should have kept it on.
Yeah,
Desert Dragon
put
says,
it back on. Sophie wants you to put it on. I think she's saying that. No one.
Let's do that. Desert Dragon says, senators and congressmen / women who are sycophant Trumpsters hope to remain with him as he starts his own party. But as an always loser, he will mess it up and they will disappear into oblivion. Or he'll throw them, to the wolves. Like, they really do think that they'll be the one that he picks. But like, when has he ever picked anybody to put his passion into? I'm gonna do lots of work so that you benefit. That's not Trump. Anyway.
Sorry, John. Did not hear anything you just said because instantly he turns on the TV. It says HDMI 1. He turns his head away from the TV. It turns off and back on again.
It's all falling apart.
I hate myself because I hate what gets me mad.
It's gonna happen right now.
I hate the things that have the power to get me mad in 2020. I'm just like, oh man, I don't know what those are, but I hate the things. I also now hate the things that bring me joy, which is like your misery.
Well, that's been a while. I don't think that's a 2020 thing. By the way, you know why this is happening? I know why this is happening. It's because I don't have VLC on this computer. I'm using Windows Media Player and it can't accurately loop. That's what's going on. Thanks, Windows Media Player. Anyway, one more super chat. Freak Speely says, "G'day from 2021. Thanks, blokes and TYT for all you do. Loving it from here in Oz. Almost COVID-free and working. Economy stimulated safely, sustainably."
Pause it. Pause the image. That'll solve.
Yeah, but then it's not like.
Oh, good point. So it'll reliably stop every 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll pause it in a second. Anyway, Freak Speely was saying, lockdown works, fancy that. May I please claim dragging my ass out of bed? Generally hardest part of my day. It's yours. Thank you for that. Okay. The bugger says on Twitch 2020 is a black screen. Wait, why is this coming up? What did I do?
John, put that image in the TV behind you. For those watching the podcast, randomly we just see John holding a Tony.
But I feel like this is like a Job, but I'm white moment. I made that. Well, I posed for it.
Anyway, for those who missed the post game last night, the best bit to do with Jon is one where he made a really good joke and then used that as though he didn't make that joke. If you do that, that's where the cognitive floor drops out beneath him and he just hovers there for a second, waves goodbye, and he falls down the chute of, that was my joke. And it was a good joke, Jon. And I thought about this after post game yesterday. I just rest assured that no one is saddened. No one's mood gets worse after seeing that photo of you. Everybody's mood gets better.
What about me?
Except for yours, and that's where they draw the power from, Jon.
Tellypanda on Twitch says, "Game set, Jon, you're the winner." And someone said, Bandito says, "You've been Tony'd." Okay, so from now on, that's a thing. You can Tony people. Just get them in a position where you can Photoshop a Tony in. Anyway, start with Tony Shalhoub. He's been asking for it. Okay, now with that, we do have 2 more stories. So let's jump into this next one. We are mere hours away from the end of 2020. Good riddance. Now, we're not like HBO. I can't blow up a gigantic thing to market, but we can talk a little bit just for a few minutes about our expectations going forward for the next year. We're gonna do that in a sec. While I'm doing this, feel free to send us in comments, super chats, and things like that. What are your hopes and fears for 2021? I can tell you generally, nearly half of the people in the US described 2020 as worrisome, exhausting, both words selected at about 1.5 times the rate they were 2 years ago. Chaotic and hellish, both about doubled from 2018. So that's a good moment. Fewer than 1 in 10 characterized this year as great or awesome. 6% of Americans said 2020 was awesome. How many Jeff Bezoses are there in America? You got Jeff Bezos, you got Elon Musk. Biden, I guess, had a pretty good year. What's the 6% who thought it was awesome?
We're nihilists. We believe in nothing.
I guess that's probably what it is.
Just people who gave up and are like, oh, it was awesome. It was awesome.
I guess
so awesome. It's like an awesome, there's an awesome hurricane, an awesome explosion. The way, like, when, you can use the word fine to say, fine horse that, like, to mean it's great. It's not what most people use the word as. But maybe 6% of people are just really, really psychotic sociopaths. Is
this a Voldemort situation where, like, with his wand, he did great things? Terrible, yes, but great. Yeah. Is it that sort of thing? I don't think that's what 6% are saying, and it scares me. Now, that's 2020.
Fascist Killa says the 6% of people that think 2020 was awesome were the dirtbags who invested in Moderna and telecommunications. So yeah, I see that.
Maybe. Yeah, you can add a couple Loefflers into there. Anyway, about 3/4 of adults in the US say they are more hopeful than fearful about what the coming year has in store for them. Republicans slightly more than Democrats or independents, by the way. So like they seem to also get that a year without Trump and hopefully the pandemic will be better. But anyway, Brett, I'm curious from you. I want you to go on the record. What do you think about 2021?
I think 2021 is, even for the people who liked 2020, like after I see a movie with a bunch of explosions or a movie like 28 Days Later, like a movie that I think is a good film that I enjoy watching, the next movie I watch has got to be like Finding Nemo. Like I need a palate cleanser. I need the calm after the storm. And I think it's gonna be something like that relative to the insanity of 2020. I think what's gonna be hilarious, as someone on Twitter just told me, don't make any more predictions. I'm gonna make predictions. I think what's happening next is a lot of stuff that happened in 2015 is going to happen again. And the people who are made huge hypocrites by that, specifically on the right, will pretend that nothing's wrong. And they have, hope in the like utopias they've created away from all reality will insulate everyone from the actual reality, and they'll just keep hammering those messages away and get back to it. That's my like top level analysis of what 2021 will be like. And we're gonna get a way too long into 2021. John, take your time.
I can't take 2020 anymore. Continue.
We're gonna get way too far into 2021, still quarantined for our own tastes. Like a lot of people are hoping that 2021 will be that, oh, it's 2021. It's maybe February, but it's gonna be April, May, and we're still gonna be looking around saying to ourselves, like, why is this still happening? I thought there would be hope, but it will still be better than 2020.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it can't not be, right? I mean, like if you told me a meteor was gonna hit Earth next year, my question would be, yeah, but how big? Like in comparison, like it has to be better. That doesn't mean it's gonna be great, by the way. And it's gonna, like, yes, we'll eventually halfway through, most things maybe will have gone back to normal. That's sort of my hope, I guess. But there's gonna be crazy obstruction. Our political leaders aren't gonna be doing nearly enough. And to see the right suddenly pretend to care about things that they spent the last year like not caring about and lying about, that's gonna be great. Just seeing like Fox News move on from spending a year advocating for the best interests of a virus is gonna be there's gonna be so many things that are gonna be so frustrating. But it's not gonna be 2020. I think the expectations are gonna be pretty low, and eventually we might get to watch Black Widow and the most recent James Bond. So I guess it can't help but be a little bit better. I would not set your expectations too high. That's all I would say. And based on the Twitch audience right now, the voting is, how do you feel about 2021? Hopeful or fearful? Fearful's at 61%, hopeful's at 38%. It's trending in the fearful direction, so yay. Anyway. Okay, now that said, I'm gonna read a couple of comments while we get ready for the final garbage person segment of the year. Brett is gonna go first, but I'm gonna read a couple comments before that happens. Okay, Glitteriest Dragon over on Twitch says, Dragon Father, Drunkle, and Dragon Squad, thank you for making my 2020 less junky. Thank you for that. And somebody pointed out, I think it was Mini Morpho said, I see Brett's little red Drunkle dragon in the background, so cute. Is that a Drunkle dragon?
That's a Drunkle dragon. It's mostly coincidence, but the reason that it's yeah, so it's right up here. There's Drunkle dragon. Mini Morpho's drawing was awesome, and we were at Whole Foods and saw that they had one for sale. And I said, oh, that's neat. We're not gonna buy that. And then wifey bought it as a surprise.
Nice. Let's see, Metal America sent in a super chat saying, so McConnell slammed socialism for the rich, claiming certain people don't need the money. So why don't those people opt to return the money? People have the same option when they file taxes to return the check if they don't need the refund. Good point, but hold on that for just a second. Oh, there's the Drunkle, I see. Very cute. Lisa Dodson says, Happy New Year. Can I have a Vega Dragon? You can. Vega Dragon? Probably Vega Dragon. Thank you for that. Let's see what else has been going on. Buster Be Good says, dedicated listener, always on the road for my job, and you guys are on 99% of the time. Want to claim Corn Dragon or Buster Dragon Box, your choice. I like Corn Dragon. Corn Dragon was a bad dragon. Let's see, Raleigh Jones says, John. Corn with a oh God, no, not that one. 2020 is over. I was rarely sober. Trump still chasing the gopher. Lock him in an enclosure. This is a rap by Corn, by the way. If I named my dog Rover, I could include her in this poem's closure. Love you both. That's pretty good. Franklin, watch out. You got some competition now. Anyway, Brana Circus says, the look on Brett's face was priceless. I love you, Brett. Secretly crushing, so I gotta play it cool. You didn't play it
correct.
Cool
That's a correct way to feel about me.
Vicky Clee says, UK has just, with no sign off from Pfizer, changed 2 doses to 1, second to come much later than advised, saying that HNY to all, Happy New Year to all of Dragon Squad TDR. I had not seen that. I saw that they approved the AstraZeneca one, but geez. LA Silver Surfer says, I want to party with the lizard people. By the way, how long until the right catches wind of Dragon Squad and assumes Lynn Wood is gonna tweet that it's lizard people that are in charge? So I need like Cassie at some point to Photoshop into a video 1 frame of my eyes as lizard eyes, and that is all the proof that will be required for conspiracy theories off into the ages.
That's how he won the Tony.
Exactly. Big lizard vote on the Tony committee. Kaiskes, hey John, 2020 was awful. But personally for me, I started a new job that pays well, that allowed me to work from home. Bought a new car. On Xmas, I found out I'm going to be an uncle.
Oh, dang.
That's awesome. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, wait. Richard Rowe for Congress has a question. Okay, John, 1,000 duck-sized bears or 1 bear-sized shark? I feel like a bear-sized shark is also a shark-sized shark. Although the duck-sized bears would be pretty bad too. I guess I'd take my chance with the duck-sized bears.
I definitely would want to see a duck-sized bear.
A duck-sized bear would be cute.
Maybe it's just because I mentioned Nemo, but I want them all to like in a very choreographed way, like assemble themselves into a bear-sized, duck-sized bear.
Holding on.
Megalith or whatever, I don't know. I want to see that.
I could go for that. Let's see. T Underhill, one last super chat says, Brett, can Brian Unger help you and John with taking out the trash in 2021? I want Brian Unger back as much as possible. We've had him on recently, actually. Had a lot of fun. Okay, with that, who's ready to do this thing? And mostly I'm talking to the director there. Okay, it's the end of the week and the end of 2020. It is time to take out the trash. It would be nice, Brett, if we could just place the entirety of this year into Trashy, but I don't think it'll fit. So we have to choose. Now we already have the garbage people of the year, but who's the last garbage person of the year, Brett?
The last garbage person of the year is this person who decided that they are going to name their kid Adolf to make a point about privilege. I think we could bring it up. Here's the first graphic. I don't have a picture of this person, but it is quite fantastic. This is from Reddit. It's from the subreddit Name Nerds. Someone posted, my sister's trying to name her son Adolf, not for the reason you would expect. And then it continues. Here's the post. I'm not pregnant. This basically says I'm not pregnant, but my sister is, and she's not a Nazi. Apparently, she's deliberately trying to give him a problematic name so that he can experience what other kids from less privileged backgrounds experience. I begged her not to do this over Facebook Messenger, and she sent me this. So here is what she says as the reason for naming her kid Adolf. Parenting amid this divided world must be radical. White parents cannot sit idle. This is my typo. Cannot sit idly by and allow their children to take up space and snatch opportunities away from those who deserve it more. Will the name Adolf prevent him from getting a few jobs? I'm sure it will. That's the point. It will give employers time to pause and stop to think. Perhaps this job should go to someone from a marginalized community. And then continues to say, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Right there, they say, I love that they believe the reason, if they give their kid a name Adolf, and then in a interview, the person interviewing them will be like, oh my God, this person's named Adolf. I should hire a person of color. Like what? No, that person in the interview is just gonna be like, your name is Adolf? Tell me more. Or your name is Adolf? What? Do you go by Dolph? No, my mom won't let me. And what better way?
I would go as Alf. I would shorten it even more. Get it as short as possible.
So crazy, so insane. What do you think about that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
No, I have a question. So the header for this was, but not for the reason you'd think. Would the reason you'd think be better or worse than this reason?
It would be worse. It would be less.
It would?
It would be less infuriating. It would just, I'm conditioned to be like, ugh, Nazis, you stink. Like, and that's what you're saying is the reason you'd think is that she's a Nazi sympathizer. Yeah. I love the idea of the term Nazi sympathizer. Like, I feel for you, Nazis. You've been through so much.
Like you just have sympathy. No, yeah, this is, look, there is at the very core of all of this something that I sort of feel a tiny bit, but it has spun so far out of control, then got back into the right orbit and then spun out again. And it was caught in the gravity of Jupiter and then pulled it and crushed. It's just, no, don't do any of this. Like this is an SNL sketch in forum post form. That's all it is. So much so that I hope that it's not real. This is Like, if what you want to do is raise a kid who is going to contribute positively to race relations or an understanding of past inequalities or something, it's not that there's a better way to do that. It's that every way is better to do that. You could have done any other way and it would have been better. I would say probably doing nothing would be better for future race relations than this.
It's like, listen, I get
helpful.
I get that, all the stuff. Like, it's absolutely right. Like, if you put the name Jose, if a resume says Jose on it instead of Joe, there are studies that prove that Jose does not get the interview and Joe does. The same resume, like that's happened. Everybody's seen that. Yeah, exactly. I agree that this is not the way to solve it. We used to have on the first show I ever worked on, we had a segment called "You're Not Helping" for people. We did it for like some PETA things where it's like, yes, I get your point and I agree with you, but you're very much not helping. Maybe this serves to just as something on Reddit. It was trending on Twitter. The word Adolf was trending on Twitter earlier today. Maybe that's enough to like, it's raising awareness of the thing I just mentioned about people's names affecting how they do in life. But this is not the solution. And rest assured, parent of Adolf, there's the rest. I want to read the rest of what she said.
Okay.
Black, indigenous, people of color struggle with judgment over their names, and to give my white, as far as I know, cis male son an easy name like Peter just perpetuates the oppression from which he benefits. You cannot truly be anti-racist unless you are willing to put others in front of yourself and your kids. Adolf will be a better man for it.
That sentence is already uncomfortable. I don't even like that sentence, let alone his life that you've created for him. He's not gonna go by it. He's going to change it. And if he doesn't, that's bad. You want him to change that. He's gonna have a nickname and eventually he's gonna figure out the legal process and he's going to change his name. I don't know what it's gonna end up being, maybe Hilaria. I don't know, but he's going to change to something better.
Yeah, here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna go by Dolph, like Dolph Lundgren, or he's gonna move to Kentucky and be like, it's Adolf Rupp, or he's gonna have to explain that to everyone. But he's at the end of the day, he's still gonna be white. He's still probably gonna be a cis male white dude. And this, I get it. But like, what are you doing to your kid? And don't, even if you don't name your kid Adolf, the reason that she wants to do this is because the kid doesn't have anything going against him in this world. Judging by this thread that I read, he does, and it's his mom. His mom's gonna be enough of a problem in his life without the name Adolf that I think all the concerns you're afraid he isn't gonna experience, he's definitely gonna have some issues regardless.
Yeah, I'm assuming that this will not be his mom's last contribution to the dialogue.
It's funny, dude. I have a friend whose name is the singer in my band in college. His name's Michael Jackson. And he is just the whitest, beboppiest, like New Jersey, like kind man who sang in a choir. And for people to like, when you ask his mom why it happened, she'd just be like, at that time in 1982, it was just the kid from the Jackson 5. And like, he already goes through so much weirdness being named Michael Jackson. Michael B. Jordan's name is Michael Jordan. He added the B to be like, no, it's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those needless, weird things. It's like, I don't know if anyone watched the old SNL sketch, but As We Pay.
I don't know that one, but I do know two things.
But they call him As We Pay.
Oh, that's true. Two name things. One, I think, I don't know who's adding these comments, but someone added a comment in, my brother's literally Jim Morrison. Oh, yeah, that's a good name though. And when you said he's just gonna call himself Dolph, I assume
Sophie's brother's Jim Morrison.
What? Oh, I didn't. Sophie never puts anything in here. I assumed it had to be like, I thought it was just a music joke, which generally is a Bart thing. Anyway, okay, apparently it was quite serious. Sorry, Sophie. Anyway, I get trolled a lot in the document, especially recently with the whole Tony thing. But anyway, the other thing was when you said he's just gonna go by Dolph, I automatically assumed, oh wait, is Dolph Lundgren actually Adolf? And I Googled it. And he did change his name, but it was Hans. It wasn't Adolf. So that's good. Glad to see that. Anyway, we got another garbage person for you. For my garbage person of the year, the final one, I mean, I couldn't have chosen anyone other than Mitch McConnell for all of the reasons that you would imagine, plus everything that he's done in the past few weeks. Like there are times in American history where one person can be the cause of change or the blocker of change. This is basically one of the clearest ones that we have, where pretty much everyone agrees that the survival check should be bigger. They should be $2,000. And you've got Republican leaders, you've got Democratic leaders, and then you have Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell says no. He said in the last day, he didn't see a realistic path for the House bill to quickly pass the Senate. Okay, I know that we've been trained to not use sort of passive verbs. You are the block to the path. You're the only thing. Like, and maybe it would get voted down. Maybe not enough Republicans would switch over, but we don't even get to find out because you're blocking it. And there's a very good chance, a number on the record saying that they would switch over. So no realistic path, that's just you. And then the argument he gives is the Senate is not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrats' rich friends who don't need the help. When, as we've all known for a very long time, if you make more than $75,000 in the previous fiscal year, you literally can't get it. Like it's the most obvious, I don't even care, man. I'm just gonna stop it and I'll say something so blatantly untrue that it's a demonstration to you of how much I hate your guts and don't care whether you live or die. And so he's tying it together to all of these other things, the Section 230 and the investigating the voter fraud, even though Trump himself has never said that those three items should be tied together. Now even Lindsey Graham is pushing him apparently as of today to do a clean vote on just that. That's another Republican on the record is apparently supporting, or at least supporting the vote, but he's stopping it. Just him, just Mitch McConnell is the difference between some families being able to pay their rent, buy food, pay the next bill on their car. God only knows.
Just things that are true. He is saying he can't see a path to do something that 2/3 of the people's house, the House of Representatives, 2/3 of the House of Representatives already said, no problem. That's one thing. Yeah. 2/3. He can't, 2/3 is a number that the Senate should be pretty familiar with. It is 2/3 majority to override a veto, something slightly less than that, 60 out of 100 to overcome a filibuster. He knows what 2/3 means and the significance of it traditionally through all the way back to the framing of the Constitution. 2/3 is a lot. It's an overwhelming super majority. That's what 2/3 is. And 2/3 of the House of Representatives already said, dude, send the checks, okay? That's how detached from reality he is. The second thing is, I forget the second thing. I'm so frustrated with the first thing.
That one was a pretty good one though. Yeah, it's just,
the second thing is his specific argument is that Donald Trump made this argument that when Trump put it forward, he said, I want the $2,000 checks and Section 230 and an investigation into what happened in the election. All right, their bargaining position then is that and they're saying without those two extra things, we can't just give $2,000 check. So their bargaining position is that, and their political position is that Twitter fact checks, that issue of Twitter fact checks and the issue of yet another challenge to the election, those two things are equally as important as you being able to pay rent and buy food.
Yep.
For which that amount, backdated relative to the previous thing that they gave us, is not enough, is already not enough. Mm-hmm. They're saying, listen, that's like saying they're just essentially literally saying food and shelter is on equal footing with an investigation when there's already been 100 investigations and something to do with Twitter. Those things aren't the same.
Yeah.
That's what makes him such a huge garbage person.
Exactly. Yeah, and Mitch McConnell, he called it socialism for rich people this morning.
No.
Yeah, because what he hates is giving money to the rich.
Yeah. His whole
just,
job
it's one of those things where it's just so obviously fake and hypocritical that it really, like, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of the audience's time to even engage with it. I will also throw in, because we're gonna have a good person in a second. One more bad person, Trump. Now, why? After all, he said that he wants the $2,000 checks. Okay, so in the past, when Trump has said that he wants something and a particular individual stands against him in getting that, how does he treat that person? Is he shy about attacking that person by name, by rallying his base on social media against them? No, he literally told Brian Kemp to resign because Brian Kemp won't overturn the results of an election, something irrational that he wants. So here, Mitch McConnell is the one person standing against him getting this thing that he keeps saying he wants. And is he attacking Mitch McConnell? Is he personally shredding Mitch McConnell? Is he spreading conspiracy theories about Mitch McConnell? Is he asking for Mitch McConnell to step down? Is he doing any of those things that would actually produce pressure on Mitch McConnell to accede to Trump's wishes? No. So for me, I am moving farther and farther away from the position that I had previously been willing to hold, which is that Trump wants the $2,000 checks. Maybe kind of he wants them, but he doesn't want them the way he's wanted other things. He's certainly not willing to fight for them in the underhanded, petty, voracious way that he's fought for other things. Mitch McConnell is acting like a guy who was given the go-ahead to block this thing. And until we see otherwise, until Trump viciously attacks him, I don't see why we wouldn't assume that that is what is going on.
I think that's I understand the point, and I think that point is only valid when making a political argument, but I don't think it's actually true. I think what's true is that Trump wants those things I just equated. Trump wants the $2,000 as much, it may and definitely less, but he wants it just as much as he wants the investigations, as he wants revenge against Twitter. He just doesn't want to lose. And he's using that, but I don't think it's as explicit as telling Mitch it's all right, because Mitch is seemingly to Trump. I think Mitch is smart enough to trick Trump into believing that Mitch is earnestly fighting for Section 230, is earnestly fighting for whatever liability protections, at the very least for Twitter, and at the most for the companies. Is something that they gave up in the original negotiations. And definitely, yeah. So I think that's what's happening. But I think the right argument, and honestly, I don't even understand the utility in making the argument you're making, because I think the way to do it is to just steamroll and say, listen, Trump's on our side. Trump and 2/3 of America versus Mitch, Kelly Loeffler, and David Perdue. And I think that's the argument to make.
Well, let me demonstrate your point by giving credit to someone who is doing that actually. So here's a little bit from earlier. This is Bernie Sanders once again trying to push for people to get the survival checks that they need.
Our country, President Trump, President-elect Biden, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, are all in agreement. We have got to raise that direct payment to $2,000. So that is where we are right now in this historic moment. Do we turn our backs on struggling working families, or do we respond to their pain?
And this is just the latest of Bernie Sanders, who's been fighting literally all year for this or for more than this. As I was producing, I was watching him. He was on the floor of the Senate fighting for it again. And there have been some great people who've been doing this. And just, I wanted one of the last things we do on TDR for 2020 to be a reminder that it isn't all terrible, and they're not all terrible. There are some good people who are fighting for our interests. In the Senate, you have Bernie Sanders. In the House, you have a lot more. And so, remember, we do have AOC and Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Pressley and Rashida Tlaib and Katie Porter and Ro Khanna and Pramila Jayapal on a bunch of issues. And we've got new people coming in Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman, and maybe soon we'll have Nina Turner. There are good people, and so please remember that. It's very easy to get apathetic and to believe that you're alone. But there are some good people out there, so let's keep that in mind going forward. Anyway, those are our garbage people, but what about you? Do you know what we have for this final garbage person of the year? We have, I believe, the highest vote total ever for garbage people. 29,000 plus of you voted. And so here's what you've got. In 5th place for this week, you have, with 1% of the vote, the senior senator from Kentucky for sacrificing his constituents. In second place with 1% of the vote, you have the Senate Majority Leader for remaking the judiciary in his image. In second place, you have Moscow Mitch for blocking election security measures at 1% of the vote. Well, that was number 3. Number 2, you have Mitch McConnell himself for blocking COVID relief. That's 12% of the vote. And at 86% of the vote, maybe the highest I've ever seen, all of the Mitches above. So yeah, there was no one else, aside from the Adolf mom, who could actually get it this week. He's just the worst in pretty much every way. Politically, rhetorically, physically, everything. He's absolutely the worst. He's absolute garbage. And the sooner we get him out of a position of power, the sooner we get him out of all of his positions of power, the better off we're all gonna be.
Agreed. My favorite Mitch McConnell quote from the year is
my favorite one was the noise he must have made in the mirror when he realized his body was rotting at an accelerated rate. Anyway, Brett, as always, thank you for joining us. Why don't you let people know what you've got coming up on Twitch?
Listen, coming up right after this show on Twitch, if you like enjoying things, Jordan Ewell, Ken Klippenstein, exclamation point, ampersand in between the two. I don't know, punctuate it how you will, but after this show, consider it a ... ellipsis as we bridge between Damage Report and Deep Dive with Jordan Ewell. It's so good. Seeing like the little Instagram posts with Jordan's Deep Dive just makes me so happy. And so it's gonna be those two hanging out, having a good time.
Coming up.
So watch that right after this on Twitch.
That should be awesome.
And then Brett, later tonight, we're gonna just stay by your phone. Throw TYTs, twitch.tv/TYT a follow. We're still gonna plan what we're gonna do, but we're gonna have a really good time. We might play some Among Us with you guys if you're interested. So be out there and ready for some good times with this household.
Thank you, and I'm glad that you added that, by the way. I didn't know about the Among Us. So now it is even more stark. He is very specifically choosing to play games with you guys rather than me. So enjoy that later on.
Yes.
Anyway, Brad, thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Okay, and for those of you at home, let me read a few more of your comments. Lisa Anderson, Gray-Eyed Dragon says, Happy New Year's, my dragon family. So happy to be ringing in 2021 with you crazy dragon hipsters. I've never been more happy to get a year older. Thank you for that. Pluvia says, John, thank you for everything this year. I began watching in April after a friend shared a video showing your board game background. You became one of my favorite non-fictional humans. Thank you, I appreciate that. El Gringo says, Happy New Year, TDR. Keep up the great work. We're gonna try. Bernie the Kiwi Bird says, Happy New Year, TDR. I will say to 2020 what Daleks from Doctor Who say to everybody, exterminate. 2021 is when we get back up. By the by, 2024 is appropriately the year of the dragon. Ooh, and I'm hoping it's a good one. I hope to formally and personally invite AOC and a dragon squad at that point, and she will be our leader. Teodor Hill says, I've read that one. Thank you for that super chat, appreciate that. Debbie Dragon says, Happy New Year, John, Brett, and the whole Dragon Squad family. Love you all. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Garcia says, John, remember he's from Kentucky. $75,000 would make you rich there. Yeah, I mean, think about how many people in Kentucky could desperately use that help. But we've got a great system where one of the 2 senators from Kentucky, which has about 4.5 million people living there, about half maybe of the county I'm sitting in, gets to say that the whole country doesn't get the checks. It's amazing how this system works. Let's see. MC Perez says, discovered TDR earlier this year once I started working remotely. Thank you for keeping me sane. Claiming Spanky Dragon. Happy New Year. It's yours. Donna says, John and Brett, here's wishing you and yours and all your dragons a Happy New Year. Thanks for giving me the news with humanity and humor. Thank you. I like that. That is what we try to do. We try to be humans about it. Intuit Eve Dragon says, hi, John and Brett, new member, but longtime subscriber. Love you guys. Hoping Intuit Eve Dragon is available. Cheers, Dragon fam. I believe it is, and thank you for that. Appreciate that. Let's see. We had an update. Krennic says, awful news, there was sabotage of vaccine vials in Grafton, North Dakota. The area is overwhelmed and someone is preventing help. That's just awful. I'm gonna try to find more information about that later on, but that is terrible news. Smiling Dragon says, you, Brett, and the Dragon Squad all picked Mitch as garbage person, right? Right? Well, we got close. And he was garbage person of the year on one of our top 10 lists, which is available to the level 2 and 3 members. And he was jerk of the year. I think pretty much everyone agrees that if you can't just give it like directly to the coronavirus, it's gotta be Mitch McConnell there. Really fast, Bart says 3 reasons why 2021 will be better. 1, the Beatles documentary Get Back, directed by Peter Jackson. 2, John winning the Tony. John, you deserve the award. Own it, my friend, and we will be celebrating it in 2021. 3, and there it goes. If you're on the podcast, I'm glad that you are. 3, Dragon Squad and the TDR community. You guys are the light for 2021 from the darkness of 2020. You make me feel more connected and living in a world of disconnection. Happy New Year's, Dragon Squad. That's from Bart. Thank you, Bart. By the way, if you are on the podcast, thank you. Love our podcast listeners. Please review it and like it on iTunes. The more people know about it, that'd be very much appreciated. Let's see. John's Venn diagram of desire says, I hated my name growing up because it was the most popular girl's name of the year. There were 9 girls with my same name in my homeroom class freshman year. I spent 4 years going by my last name, but I don't know what your name is. There was a couple of Johns. It seems like it's not a name. Is John not like a thing anymore? I don't think there's any new Johns being born. Am I gonna be like Fred someday or Herbert or something like that? Like it's gonna be, I'm gonna have an old man name in like 20 years, aren't I? Maybe it won't even take 20 years. Brooke says on Twitch, John's Venn diagram of desire is a strange name for it to be the most common girl's name. You know what you did. Anyway, thank you everybody who watched, not just today, not just this week, but the entirety of 2020. As bad of a year as it is, I like to think that we made it a little bit easier for you, and you certainly made it a hell of a lot easier for us. This was a terrible year in a lot of different ways, but one good thing was the absolute explosion of the show. Like it is so much bigger and more vibrant. The community is so awesome than it was back before 2020. And so I really do appreciate that. I don't know what 2020 is gonna look like, but we will at least have each other. So that's one thing they can't take away from us. So with that, there's more TYT programming coming up, including in just a couple of minutes, deep dive with Jordan Ewell and Ken Klippenstein. So definitely head over to twitch.tv/TYT for that. Thank you to everybody who supported the channel in so many different ways. I really do appreciate that. And until next year, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.